Wiped up plug nose, call me Kleenex. Finesse them the load, he drunk, he seasick. Bust down my Hublot, I'm drunk, I'm seasick. Look out bitch then Earl.
What up, Philly? Let's go. You know it's another Birds weekend coming up. It's your boy Scotty here. Another episode of Scotty Talks Philly Sports. Happy to be back with you guys listening. Once again, thank you for checking out the podcast. The fact that you're even hearing this is, a blessing for me. And just want to thank you guys for always, checking out the pod and, just helping me spread my brand around. Scotty Talks Philly Sports. We started from nothing, and we're just looking to go up. So, I'm going to hop right in here. First, I want to remind you guys, make sure to go follow me on Twitter. My personal account is Scotty Drowned. The sports page, ST Philly Sports 1 on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find us on Facebook at Scotty Talks Philly Sports. Just look it up. Go ahead and like that page for me as well. Also, one of the biggest parts of everything is, the beginning and the end of the show. Please go like and subscribe to the podcast channel, man. I really, really appreciate it. And like I said, I appreciate you guys listening, taking the time out your day to hear me voice what I need to say about the Birds, as well as the rest of Philly sports. So just keep in mind, I still have the Darius Slay raffle going. I still have not reached that 125 subscriber mark. So help me get there, please. Yes, as soon as we hit the 125 mark, I'm going to pick a subscriber randomly, and I'm going to get you a Darius Slay jersey. Your choice of color, size, whatever you need from fanatics.com. So now that we got that, the business side of things out of the way, man, let me hop in. I'm going to give a quick Eagles-Rams preview. We got week 2 coming up here. We're about to square off against the LA Rams. Not going to be easy, obviously. Never is easy against the Rams. The Rams are a pretty solid team the last couple years. But Doug Peterson does seem to have Sean McVay's number, 2-0 in the series. And both of those games came with the backup quarterback, not Carson Wentz. So it shall be interesting, especially after a week 1 debacle against the Washington football team. 8 sacks on Wentz, 20 QB hurries, 15 QB hits. That cannot happen this week. We got Aaron Donald and company coming in to Philly. We cannot allow him to destroy this game for us. Cool thing I'm going to try out here today. It's not like something that I'm going to be doing often, honestly. I had a buddy that he's a huge LA Rams fan. He was with them since the St. Louis Rams, all that business. Huge diehard LA Rams fan. My good friend Warren's Remy. He was gonna come on the show. We had planned it all summer. He actually is deployed over in Japan right now, serving for the U.S. military. So I actually got some, notes for the Rams for us, going into this game from your very own Rams fan. So he watches these guys all the time. He knows the ups and downs of this team, the ins and outs. So it was good to get some perspective from outside the Philly fan base, somebody that is a little more in touch with this Rams team, somebody that's not in our division, not somebody we see all the time. So I did want to shout out Warren's, Mr. Pastor Remy. I wanted to shout you out. I know you over there in Japan, man, and I appreciate you always taking the time to watch this show. My boy right there. So I want to go ahead and shout him out. And I'm just going to read some of the notes, and then I'm going to dig into them with my Eagles notes I got here, right? So the Rams, the good, the bad, the ugly, right? Defense had 3 sacks. The good, Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey looked great, worth the money that we spent on both of them. Considered the best rush and cover duo. Rams D-line makes it easy for the secondary to stay in coverage. Best part of the Rams defense is going to be the pass rush, obviously. Aaron Donald looked incredible against the beaten-up Cowboys O-line. He only had 1 sack and 3 assisted tackles, but the numbers don't show how disruptive he was against the Cowboys. He was double-teamed 32 times against the Cowboys. That was the most in the NFL after Week 1. Whenever he only had a single blocker, he used that blocker to get in the way of Dak. As you can see from that video where he tossed about 2 or 3 Cowboys offensive linemen. But yeah, so they will move Aaron Donald around. You can't scheme against him. I'm sorry. Please watch the monster treat these grown men on the Cowboys like little kids. Full stats from the pass rushers. 10 QB pressures on 35 attempts. 28.6% pressure rate, which was 6th in the NFL in Week 1. 7 QB hits between the whole defense. Brockers had a sack, Floyd had a sack, and Donald had a sack. 3 sacks total. The bad, even with a great pass rush, our secondary let up 247 pass yards. Yes, this isn't that bad, but watching the tapes, you can see the Gallup pass interference calls shouldn't have been pass interference. So in my books, they let up 300 passing yards. Our secondary didn't allow any touchdowns by Dallas receivers. Our rookie safety, Fuller, led the team in tackles and impressed the critics. Taylor Rapp, who had an amazing 2019 year, sat the bench with 28.6% plus pressure rate against the QB, should have resulted in more incomplete passes. The linebackers are, excuse my language, this is verbatim from Pastor Remy, fucking trash. And the open field tackling by secondary and linebackers was also fucking trash. 136 yards rushing allowed by 1 running back. Offense, the good. O-line looks like the Super Bowl offensive line. Only allowed 1 sack. They made the 3-headed beast in the backfield look amazing due to a great rushing attack. 153 yards total. The Rams had a total of 35 minutes and 38 seconds of possession. Cannot allow that. The bad, we could not get in the end zone. Robert Woods had 106 yards, but his partners in crime didn't live up to expectations. They need to step up their game and help the veteran out so they can return to that high, explosive offense they had a few years ago. The ugly. Jared Goff did look a lot better than last year, but it's the first week. He threw for 274 yards, getting the ball out of his hands quickly. 1.8 seconds average snap to pass, which resulted in a very low pressure rate compared to Dak Prescott. Wentz is terrible at getting the ball out, by the way. Watch out for Aaron Donald. I don't appreciate that, Mr. Remy. Most of his yards was due to his receivers getting yards after the catch. 70% of Jared Goff's yards was after the catch. He only had a 4.9 yard average passing rate. Okay? So those are my quick notes, from my heavy LA Rams fan. You can even call him an analyst. Because as you can see, he pays close attention to that Rams team. So I got some, I got some keys to success on my end as well. A lot of that shit isn't gonna fly here in Philly. Sorry, sir. But yeah, obviously, control Aaron Donald. We can't allow this guy to be a game breaker. That can't happen, or you'll see the same shit that we saw in Week 1, except times 10. Obviously, Carson needs to get rid of the balls, just like my man Warren said. He sucks at getting rid of the ball quick. He sucks at getting rid of just throwing the ball away. You know what I mean? So that can't happen. You know what I mean? He cannot hold the ball that long. You cannot give that defensive line time to get home. That can't be an option. So we need quick decisions. Miles and Dallas Goedert and even Zach Ertz should be Carson's best friends in this game. Quick hitters. You got your, you know what I mean? You got your guys that are your blanket. So you got Miles coming out of the backfield. You got Miles back. Utilize him to the fullest. Make him the feature back that you said he was going to be all off season. Right, Doug? So, yes, get Miles and Goedert involved. Get Rieger and Jackson involved in not only the deep game. Let's get them involved in those intermediate and those short routes as well. You can throw Rieger into some screenplays. He's a quick, athletic guy. Get the ball in his hands. and give him room to work. Get him the ball in space. We need more dynamic play calling this game. We need it. Even if you want to throw in a wide receiver reverse. I know we don't do them very often. I get it. It's not a Philly thing. Try it. Guys like Reagor and Hightower, these guys are perfect for that type of play. Throw it in there. Try it. What do you have to lose? You're quarterback. That's what. Get pressure on Goff. That's going to be the key. The Rams have a decent amount of options out there on offense. You know, between the running backs and Malcolm Brown, you got Cooper Kupp out there, Robert Woods, Josh Reynolds in the slot. You got Everett at the tight end, Higbee at the tight end. They got options out there, man. So get some pressure in Goff's face. We need to fluster him the same way that we saw Wentz unravel last week. We need to see Goff unravel like that. The Rams run a nice spread offense, so just beware that we don't get aired out if that pass rush isn't getting home. We need them to get home. Win the turnover battle. I mean, if you look at last week, the Eagles and the Washington football team matchup, right? You look at the key difference. Obviously, Wentz played a bad game. Obviously, the offensive line was bad. Obviously, it wasn't a very good game plan from the jump. The point is, even with all of those, if Wentz just doesn't turn the ball over, we win the game. And you look at what the difference was between the Washington team and the Eagles, Dwayne Haskins did not turn the ball over. We could have used the turnover last week, and it would have probably changed the game to our favor. We couldn't get one because they took care of the ball and they played it safe. To an extent, that's what the Eagles need to do. Carson Wentz is a lot more talented than Haskins, so you don't have to play as safe. But we need to take care of the ball and make sure we're not turning it over. That falls in line with those fumbles, Carson. Cut that shit the fuck out. As far as the interceptions, gotta go, man. I know those plays were close. You know, Reagor can come up and play the ball closer. Hightower can come up and play the ball better. No, we don't need any room for mistakes this week. We need to play it semi-safe. You know, I know Wentz is a great quarterback. Let's get him in a rhythm. Let's get him some easy decisions to make, and let's get this thing going. Then we'll go for the deep shots once we have some chemistry flowing. How about that? So obviously the turnover battle. Avoid Ramsey. I mean, you don't need to throw it to his side of the field. We got plenty of weapons. If he's on that side playing man-to-man, don't throw that way. Throw it the other way. We don't need to. Aaron Donald, once again, I'm going to keep talking about Aaron Donald. He can't wreck our game this weekend. If this isn't how it is at practice, where they're just hearing Aaron Donald's name the whole practice, then they aren't practicing right. I swear on everything. If Aaron Donald wrecks this game, heads need to roll because there's no reason. There's no reason. I would rather somebody else like Brockers dominate the game. Aaron Donald can't dominate the game. He's a game wrecker. And then the final note, I got this from my buddy David Esser, editor for Section 215, my editor. Also, podcast host of the Bullpen Blues over on PSN Network. Just wanted to give credit. It wasn't my idea, but some misdirections, man. Because as you can see, my buddy Pastor Remy, the Rams linebackers suck. We need to get some misdirection going on offense. Some misdirection screens. Some misdirection wide receiver reverse. Some misdirection runs. Get these linebackers flowing side to side and expose how bad they are. We have to do this on offense. We have to. Our defense played well, man. And there's not a lot of key points there for the defense. Get home on Jared Goff. You need to get pressure in his face. Defense played well last week, and I don't care what anybody says. They led the NFL in total defensive yards given up, and they led the NFL in yards per play. I mean, you can't do much more than that. Obviously, we gave up 27 points. All those points came from, the Washington football team, starting in our territory, inside our 50. So that stuff can't happen. The turnovers can't happen. I got a couple stars of the game, and then I got a couple just key talking points of, the Eagles week. There's always some new drama every week. Stars of the game, Dallas Goedert. Get used to it. It's going to be Goddard over Wentz or over Ertz all season. Get used to it. If you haven't picked up Goddard in fantasy, get him now. If he's in your waiver wire, I don't understand your league. He should be starting on your team right now, and I would start him over Ertz. I'm not even joking. That situation with Ertz, and we'll get into that in a second, is a cluster. You know what I mean? So we don't want to mess with Ertz right now. The way I look at it, the Eagles are going to phase him out of the offense. They want to see what they have in Goddard. They're gonna move forward with Goddard. We'll see what we have in him this year, and we're gonna kind of build our offense around Goddard. If that don't sound right to you, well, you better get used to it, because I promise you, this is the way this team is going right now. Goddard, you're looking at Goddard in a single tight end offense next year with a spread, a bunch of fast wide receivers on the outside, and you got Miles versatile back in the backfield. It's gonna be a spread offense with one tight end. It's gonna be crazy. That's a whole other issue. Miles Sanders, man, he's back. Obviously, he's back. Lane Johnson is another key injured guy that's back. Got a lot of guys returning this week. But Lane and Miles, oh my God, you don't understand how important it is to have them back. The way Miles, just in the passing game, blocking wise, picking up blitzes, Miles is light years better than Clement and Boston Scott in that part of the game, let alone his actual running ability, his vision, catching the pass out of the backfield. Having Miles back is weight off of Wentz's shoulders. Miles is going to protect him. Miles is going to save him a lot of the time. So use Miles. Get him out there. Get him moving around. Get him flowing. Get him involved in the offense early and feed him. That is what it's going to take. Play it safe. Give it to Miles, man. He's a stud. I'm glad to have him back. Lane is going to shore up the right side of that defensive line, which also helps with our depth on the defensive line in case another guy goes down, obviously. Don't rule that out. Darius Slay, just keep it up, man. You shut down Terry McLaurin last week. Beautiful. It was lovely to have that type of CB1 play, man. Not used to it, and I want to get used to it. So keep that up this week, man. You got Cooper Kupp. You got Robert Woods. Probably not going to, follow either of them around, but show us what you got. Those are pretty good wide receivers. Fletcher Cox can't be a no-show again, man. I get it. He gets double-teamed. Nah, not this year. Malik Jackson's on that defensive line. You got Brandon Graham down there. They can't double-team Fletcher. They can't. Now we're getting Hargrave back this week. I need an explosive game from Fletcher Cox. Love Josh Sweat on that defensive line, by the way. I want to see him continue to get snaps, even if Derek Barnett does return this weekend. Brandon Graham was clear from concussion protocol. He looks good to go. That is very good news as well. We still got Jannard Avery in that pass rush group as well. Hassan Ridgeway, T.Y. McGill actually looked really good last week. But Hassan Ridgeway is another guy that I really like on that defensive line. So as I mentioned earlier, we got some storylines from this week. Interesting stuff going on. Always after an Eagles loss, it's going to be a crazy week. So Ertz's situation, right? Man, it got really interesting. On Sunday, you see him. He only has 3 receptions for 18 yards. Comes out, the one touchdown that he did catch on Sunday, he was the third option on the play, right? A Hall of Fame tight end, the third option on the goal line pass. Weird. So then on top of it, you look at the guy that was supposedly the number 1 option on the play, which was J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, which I get it. He's a good red zone target for a wide receiver. He's a bigger guy. He's your number 1 option. I don't know of a play that should ever have J.J. Arcega-Whiteside as a number 1 option until he proves himself, let alone in the end zone. What does he deserve a touchdown for? Whatever. To me, I read that as a PR move that's taking place on the football field. If J.J. Arcega-Whiteside scores that touchdown, who's that make look good? Howie Roseman. Yeah, nah, Howie. And you're sitting here trying to phase out Ertz, man. We're going to have a real problem if by the end of this season, Ertz is just getting completely disrespected like last week, man. Phasing him out of the offense. Seems to me like Howie's getting a little egotistical here in this situation. Which brings me to my final point of the Ertz situation. It's come to my knowledge that Ertz and the Eagles during this week, sat down with Howie, and, you know, they agreed that this is his last season in Philly. And rightfully so for him, and even rightfully so for the Birds, right? There's a lot of ways we could have went about this. It didn't have to be so public. I'm not disagreeing with the idea to go away from Ertz and more towards Goddard. I'm not disagreeing. He's a younger option. Looked great last week. He's looked great since we drafted him. Stud, man, and he's next up. It's just the way the business works of the NFL. I get that part. We didn't have to embarrass Zach Ertz, and we still don't have to. Just go out there and let these guys play their game. Zach Ertz is still the #1 option, should be at least, on this offense. He's the most reliable player that Wentz has had in his career. So don't blackball this, man. Please don't do that by the end of the season, or you're going to have a very disgruntled Eagles fan right here. I get it. They mutually agreed that this is the last season. Let's let that in week 2, and let's move forward. Let's get Ertz the ball, run this offense the right way. But unfortunately, I don't think it will be that way. I believe they are going to phase Ertz out. I believe they're going to show off Goddard, which is fine. I love Goddard. You guys know I love Goddard. I've been calling this a Goddard breakout season for the longest, and that was before I knew they were going to phase out Ertz. Now it's Goddard full throttle, guys, so get ready for that trade. Doug, it came out this week. We have beat writers in Philly saying that Doug's maybe he's reached his limit. Reached his limit? What's the limit? Making the playoffs 3 years in a row, winning the Super Bowl in your second season as a head coach? What's the limit? What is the point of this article? I didn't even fucking read it. It's retarded. It's retarded. I don't understand why you would put an article out like that. And excuse my language right there. That was inappropriate, but why are you saying this about Doug? What has Doug done to deserve this? I get it. I questioned his game plan last week. I do question Doug sometimes. Is he not the right coach for this team? It's obvious he is. The way he keeps these guys resilient. Come on. Eagles are working out Devontae Freeman. This is something I've been asking for months now. I knew we needed running back depth before the season started. Miles Sanders, and especially now with the hamstring injuries coming off of, he says he's 100%. You can't buy that. He's not 100%. There's no way. The hamstring injuries linger and for a long time. So I think it's good to bring in a guy like Devontae Freeman, you know, a veteran, a guy that's played in the Super Bowl. He's an older guy in that locker room as far as, you know, experience. And I think it'll be beneficial for that running back group. Score prediction. 27-20. Eagles. We can do this. We got to control the game. That's it. We cannot let Aaron Donald and that defense control the game like the Washington football team did. Carson's got to play better. O-line's got to play better. Doug's got to coach better. 3 keys. Bang. Easy. Guys, we can take the Rams. I have no doubts about this. I have none. We can take the Rams. We've done it before. Are we going to? It's a whole different story, man. I want to see these guys get it together. Usually when their backs are on the wall, especially after a loss like last week, they come out firing, man. Right? Go Birds! Really quick, I'm just going to go through some fantasy notes this week, you know, for fantasy football. We got week 2. Just going to go through some, you know, guys, some matchups that I really like this week. I will go ahead and start with that Thursday night football matchup we had, you know, between the Bengals and the Browns. Man. So, obviously, Baker Mayfield came out, you know, trying to prove a point. Not really proving much of a point against the Bengals. They had the first pick in the draft for a reason. I had an interesting decision to make with my All About the Birds League lineup. So that's a 16-team league. I had choices between either Jared Goff against my Birds this weekend or Joe Burrow. So I decided to take it to Twitter and kind of just ask everybody what they thought. Because obviously I wanted to start Joe Burrow, sort of just because I don't want to have to root semi for Jared Goff against the Eagles. but you should never make fantasy decisions, based off bias. So this one was actually kind of interesting because you look at Joe Burrow, who's going against the Cleveland Browns, who, Lamar Jackson and company just took care of. They took them to school week 1. So, and not saying that Joe Burrow is even close to Lamar Jackson, anything like that. But Joe Burrow, I think, is going to be a stud in this league, and he proved it last night. Got me 32 points. It's definitely worth the start. I don't care what Jared Goff does now. 32 points is good enough for me to have started Joe Burrow over Jared Goff. I also had OBJ playing last night. My man got me 18 points. OBJ awakening. Watch this guy. He goes on streaks, man. He's going to have a stellar season now. Watch. I'm glad the Browns are finally making a point to get him involved in the offense. It seems like that offense was running beautifully last night. I know it was against the Bengals, but you could see what Kevin Stefanski's trying to do with that team, and it actually looks semi-good. You had Hunt and Chubb in the backfield manning it, and they both went off. You still have Jarvis Landry there. You got Austin Hooper, but last night it was OBJ, you know what I'm saying? So that was exciting. Not a huge game from Joe Mixon at 13 points. Tyler Boyd actually played really well, got 20 points last night. So that was some good choices. I have Tyler Boyd in a couple leagues as well. So this week, top 5 quarterback matchups, I got Lamar Jackson against the Houston Texans. Lamar Jackson's always going to be my top quarterback unless he's going against a stellar-ass defense. Not this week in the Houston Texans. I expect Lamar to do his usual thing there. Dak versus Atlanta. You look at what Russell Wilson did against that Atlanta defense last week, and you might just understand where I'm coming from. Hate the Cowboys. Not a big Dak fan, but he's on point to – it's going to be sort of a shootout, I believe, with that Atlanta team. So I see Dak having a pretty good game. Of course, Mahomes against the Chargers. Love Mahomes. It's Mahomes. Who cares who he's playing? He's always going to be a top 5. Cam Newton versus Seahawks. I know this might surprise some people, but Cam's running ability last week and the willingness of the Patriots and their coaching staff to let Cam run. He likes to run. You get him in those goal line situations, he's going to be the number 1 option to get touchdowns. I like Cam Newton. Get him close to that goal line, get him a touchdown or 2 like last week. My last guy, top 5 matchups this week, Josh Allen versus the Miami Dolphins. Everybody was questioning me why I was taking Josh Allen in a lot of my drafts this year. I have him in about 3 out of my 4 leagues, I believe. And you guys saw why last week. I know it was, the Jets or something, but it doesn't matter. Guy runs, he throws. He's a good option. All of those running and passing options are always great options at quarterback. Rushing yards are just an added-on bonus. Top 5 running back matchups this week. I got CMC versus Tampa Bay. He's going to get a huge workload against them, and I expect them to want to go out there and beat. I feel like Tom Brady and those Bucs, they just got a target, a bullseye on their back. And you know what the best recipe for the Panthers to beat the Bucs is? Get the ball to CMC, Christian McCaffrey. He's just on the cover of GQ. He's feeling himself. Let him get loose out there, man. Number 2, I got Kamara against the Las Vegas Raiders. Sorry, Raiders. I got my boy Sam over there in Colorado, a big Raiders fan. Sorry. Kamara's that guy. You saw it in week 1. He's ready to go this year. That contract's got him looking good. Also got Michael Thomas out of that offense. So that takes a lot of the targets, gives a lot of targets to spread out elsewhere. I got Derrick Henry against Jacksonville. I'm looking for Henry to keep being that bell cow. You saw it last week. They feed him until he breaks it. And, he got up over 100 yards in week 1. That's all you can ask for Derrick Henry. Not a big PPR guy. Doesn't have to be. He gets fed so much as a running back, it doesn't matter. Number 4, my guy, Miles Sanders. Like I said, if that hamstring is bothering him, then no. But he said he's full ready to go, 100%. So I expect, after a week 1 showing last week where we only ran the ball 17 times, I'm expecting, Miles to get over 20 touches for sure. Whether it's passing and running, he's getting over 20 to 25 touches He's going to be a great play this week, and we need him to perform well in order to beat the Rams. Austin Eckler against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think he has a bounce-back game as far as the passing game. He's usually a very good receiving threat, great for PPR. Last week, his role kind of got reversed. He was used heavily on the ground, which is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. But you want to see those same amount of carries as well as the receiving opportunities. And I think he gets back on track this week against Kansas City. They'll need a good performance by him. Tyrod Taylor isn't going to beat the Chiefs. Top 5 wide receiver matchups this week. Starting off with the obvious one, this guy is going to control the wide receiver position this entire season in fantasy football. It is Davante Adams. I don't care who he's playing against. He's literally the only legit option for Aaron Rodgers. I know they got some other guys over there, Lazard, Valdez-Scantling. It's Davante Adams. He should get over 10 targets a game. He should. And there's no doubt in my mind. He has Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball. No reason you know what I mean? He's the best matchup every week because he's the only option. Number 2, DeAndre Hopkins. Man, we saw how they used DeAndre Hopkins in that first game, the Cardinals. They're going against the Washington football team. You would expect that the Cardinals don't have as many offensive line issues as we do here in Philly. They should do a little bit better. Kyler's a little bit more of a mobile quarterback. He'll get out that pocket, get DeAndre Hopkins the ball. They'll beat the Washington football team. But I do like DeAndre Hopkins in that matchup. You know, he had the 14 receptions, over 100 receiving yards last week. I look for them to keep that up. Number 3, I got Emmanuel Sanders versus the Las Vegas Raiders with Michael Thomas out of the game. And I wouldn't even say this is a top 5 matchup, but it's a very good matchup. You got Emmanuel Sanders stepping in Michael Thomas's shoes. Michael Thomas most likely isn't going to play on Monday night. So you're going to have Emmanuel Sanders at that wide receiver 1, and I love him in that role. You saw he didn't let up any from last year. Had a receiving touchdown in week 1. So I look for Emmanuel Sanders to have a pretty good game. Adam Thielen against Indianapolis. Thielen looked pretty good in that first week, and I expect that to continue. You know, with Diggs off that team, he's going to get a lot more targets than what he was last year, and I look forward to it. Thielen's always been a pretty good wide receiver selection anyways with Diggs on the team. So I expect him to get even more looks without Diggs on the squad. And finally, I got Julio Jones against the Dallas Cowboys. It's like I said, it's going to be an air-it-out event. I think that's going to be a high-scoring game. I think they're going to go back and forth. And obviously, you got Calvin Ridley and Julio there. No matter what, I think both of them are going to go off. And I think that's going to be that way most of the season, honestly. Some sleepers. I don't even know if this is a sleeper anymore. I've been saying it so long. Dallas Goedert. He needs to start on your squad. If he's on the waivers, I don't understand your league. He's a top 10 tight end this year. I guarantee you. I also like Michael Gallup against the Falcons. Like I said, it's going to be a high-scoring game. Michael Gallup, opposite of Amari Cooper. That guy's going to get a lot of attention all the time by the defense. Michael Gallup's that other guy. So I look for a big game out of Gallup. You know, he cost the Cowboys a game with that push off. But I look for him to bounce back and have a great game against the Falcons. Jonathan Taylor against the Minnesota Vikings. Like him a lot. I liked him before Marlon Mack went down. I like him even more now that Marlon Mack went down. He's going to get a full bell cow load, and I look forward to seeing that play out. He's a great option this week. Ronald Jones against the Carolina Panthers. I think that's another great option. You saw him get the bulk of the carries over Leonard Fournette. I don't think that's going to change. I think Ronald Jones fits their offense better. Some guys that, you know, going forward even, I like specifically Ertz is a guy that I would look to trade if I had him in fantasy. I'm not lying to you. As what I told you earlier in the episode, it is not looking good for Ertz in fantasy or in Philly. He's getting phased out of this offense. Goddard's going to be the number 1 guy as far as tight ends on that team, and I think that's going forward, guys. Gronk. Did he even play last week? I'm not sure. But obviously Gronk, you take a year off, you're not going to be the same player. I'm bailing out on Gronk on the Gronk train. I don't know if he will return to that Hall of Fame form that he had before he decided to sit out. Gardner Minshew, not a fan of him this week. I know he had a stellar, NFL record type of week one, with his completion percentage. Not seeing that against a good Tennessee defense. They're going to get after him. Tennessee should control most of the clock, running the ball like they always do. Just a very tough team. I do not like that matchup for Gardner Minshew. And this is a homer pick, Jared Goff. I do not like him against the Eagles. I know the Eagles have been known for this weak pass game the last couple of years. I don't think that's the case this year. We got a revamped secondary. We got a way better defensive line, way more depth at the defensive line, better pass rushers between Hargrave coming back. We got Barnett coming back. I feel like Goff is going to have guys in his face all day. I think he's going to make some costly turnovers. I don't like that matchup for him this week. As far as fantasy, that's all I got this week for you guys. Pretty quick episode. I've been trying to keep them quicker, keep you guys attentive. But that's all I got for you guys this week. I'm looking for a big game against the Rams this week, guys. Carson's got to get back on track. Doug's got to get back on track. They will do it. They will get this dub, 27-20 against the Rams in Philly, home opener. No fans, no tailgating. Who cares? All I need to do is see my Birds play. I don't care. Just quick reminder before we get out of here. Go follow me on Twitter at Scotty Drown. You can follow the sports page at ST Philly Sports 1. You can also find us on Facebook, Scotty Talks Philly Sports on Facebook. And remember to hit that like and subscribe buttons. I need that. Help me get some following around here. I love it. Thank you guys for always listening. And it's been a pleasure so far, man. Let's keep this train moving. Get me to 125 subscribers. I'm giving out that Slay jersey. That's all I got tonight for you, Philly. Cheers, guys. Go Birds!